Good morning and vanakkam. In this video, we're going to be reading from Dancing with Shiva, Hinduism's contemporary catechism, written by Satguru Sivaya Subramania Swami, a richly illustrated sourcebook of Indian spirituality in question and answer form, exploring how to know the divine, honor all creation, and see God everywhere, in everyone. Today's lesson is lesson 122, and we'll begin by reading the caption to the facing image. The Vedas speak of 108 Maruts, a demonic troop who assist Vayu with clouds and rain. When Indra offended them, sage Agastya came to their aid. Indra attacked the fire worship with his Vajra. Agastya, father of the Tamil language, prevailed. Lesson 122. What is a saint, a sage, and a Satguru? Shloka 122. Saints, devoid of ego, reflect the peace, humility, and purity of a devout life. Sages, though perfectly liberated, may outwardly appear detached and ordinary. Satgurus, also fully enlightened, guide others on the path. Om. Bhashya. The saints or sants of Hinduism are honored as exemplars of our faith. Often living the householder dharma, they teach us how to act and how to serve the gods. The purity of the saint's heart is evident in his or her words and deportment. There are others in our religion who are inwardly pure and awakened, but who do not outwardly display their attainment. These are known as sages and often live as secluded munis or wander as homeless mendicants, remaining aloof from the world. Satgurus are the masterful guides and mystical awakeners who bring us into the fullness of spiritual life. They are initiated swamis of recognized spiritual lineages. Sages and Satgurus are the most honored among holy men, beings of the highest attainment. Both are unmarried renunciates. Sages are generally nirvanis, reposing within their realization. Satgurus are upadeshis, actively guiding others to truth. The Vedas offer this praise. We celebrate with dedicated acts the greatness of the illustrious supermen amidst enlightened persons, who are pure, most wise, thought inspirers, and who enjoy both kinds of our oblations, physical and spiritual. Om Namah Shivaya. Good morning and vanakkam. In this video, we're going to be reading from Living with Shiva, Hinduism's contemporary culture, written by Satguru Sivaya Subramania Swami. 365 daily lessons based on ancient Vedic laws, disclosing how to approach family, money, relationships, technology, food, worship, yoga, and karma to live a truly spiritual life. Today's lesson is lesson 122, and the topic is the esoterics of penance. The inner process of relieving unwanted karmic burdens occurs in this order: remorse and shame, confession, of which apology is one form, repentance, and finally reconciliation, which is making the situation right so that good feelings abide all around. Therefore, each individual admission of a subconscious burden too heavy to carry must have its own reconciliation to clear the inner aura of negative samskaras and vasanas and replenish the inner bodies for the struggle the devotee will have to endure in unwinding from the coils of the lower instinctive mind, which block the intellect and obscure spiritual values. When no longer protected by its ignorance, the soul longs for release and cries out for solace. Prayashchitta, penance, is then the solution to dissolve the agony and bring shanti. The guru has to know the devotee and his family karma over a long period of time before Prayashchitta is given. Otherwise, it may have the wrong effect. Penance is for religious people, people who practice daily, know the philosophy, and have a spiritual head of their family, people who genuinely want to reach a state of purity and grace. It is not for non-religious people. Just as in the Catholic Church, penance, to be most effective, is given to you by the spiritual preceptor. It is not a do-it-yourself, new age kind of thing. Those who try to do it alone may overdo it. It takes a certain amount of talking and counseling to gain an understanding of what is involved. Before undertaking any of the physical prayashchittas, I have devotees do the Mahavasana Daha Tantra, great purification of the subconscious by fire, writing down and then burning 10 pages of memories, called samskaras, good and bad, for each year of their life to the present day. Anything can be written down that concerns you. Friends, home, family, relatives, sports, TV shows, vacations, work, pastimes, indulgences, anything that is in your mind. This may automatically clear up events of the past. The idea is to remove the emotions from the experience and bring yourself to the eternal now. Forgetting the past, concern yourself with the now. Move with life day to day and create a glorious future for yourself and others. Also, I've experienced that sometimes just making the confession to the Satguru is a sufficient prayashchitta and nothing else is necessary. What the troubled conscience thought was bad may not have been bad at all. Just normal happenings, but the conscience suffers until that fact is known. It is important to note that the Vasana Daha Tantra must be done by hand with pen and paper. Various devotees have tried it on the computer and found it not effective. Writing is uniquely effective because in the process, the prana from the memory flows from your subconscious through your hand, through the pen, and is embedded in the paper, bringing the memory out in the open to be understood, diffused, and released when the paper is burned. Some devotees have also tried sitting and pondering the past, meditating on it, and even visualizing themselves writing down their recollections and burning them. This often does more harm than good, as it only stirs up the past. Sutra 122 of the Nandinada Sutras, the only reason to divorce. In marriages of Shiva's followers, divorce by man's law may be resorted to in cases of persistent physical abuse to protect the abused spouse. This is the singular, regrettable exception to the permanence of marriage. Om. Good morning and vanakkam. In this video, we'll be reading from Merging with Shiva, Hinduism's contemporary metaphysics, written by Satguru Sivaya Subramania Swami. 365 enlightenment lessons from a mystical master, revealing the depths of Raja Yoga, the clear white light, the states of mind, and the ultimate spiritual destiny of every seeker. Today's lesson is lesson 122, and the topic is finding your security within. With the help of devotion, you can soar within. You can not only pull away detachedly from unwholesome areas of the mind, but it is possible to keep yourself in an inward state of expanded consciousness. What is it all about when we are burdened? This is only the external odic force fields of magnetic energy in the area of the mind called the world and the subconscious. When we are totally aware in this limited state of consciousness, we have the feeling of being burdened. When we are aware in this state of mind, it is impossible to seek out an explanation or to accept an explanation from another. How many times during your life have you explained to your friends who were totally aware in the external area of the mind the reasons for their being there and the way to release themselves from these areas and soar within? You knew that they knew what you were talking about, but they wouldn't accept what you had to say, possibly because they hadn't thought of it first. The magnetic areas of the odic force field of the external mind are that strong. They were burdened by the conscious and subconscious limited areas of the mind. Awareness had become submerged. The only real security comes from within. Gain security, and if your security comes from within you, you become unburdened. However, if one gains his security from the external mind, then of course he will not accept help if help is given. What is help anyway but man sharing with man? Who is the helper and who is the one who is helped? You have often heard teachers say, every time I give instruction, I learn more than my students. Is the teacher giving the opportunity to the students to learn, or are the students giving the opportunity to the teacher? Obviously, it is quite mutual. Who then is the great helper? The external ego does not give us help or assistance. It only ramifies awareness into even more externalized areas of the mind. The mind of light, your superconsciousness, is the only area of the mind where permanent bliss, security, and steadfastness occur when awareness flows through it, even in the outer areas of your nature. The mind of light is the only thing that can uplift awareness, shuffling off the burdens of the external mind. It is the great teacher. And that's it for today's lesson. Take care of yourselves, have a beautiful day, and we'll see you in the next video. Om Namah Shivaya.